Hey guys, welcome to Gamepass News, recorded Thursday, November 11th. Today, we wish a happy birthday to the Xbox SX, chat about Forza, and how Sean fought a squirrel on his underpants during Extra Life. My name is Nick, my co-host is Sean, and our very, very special guest, Seth, keeping it weird, Sturgill. How are you guys? I'll start with you, Sean. How are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I've got a beer with me. I've
Well,
got a tidy living room, and I've been playing some Forza stuff. Can't get much better than that.
that is a good. Like, Seth, do you have an awesome name, or is that a radio name? I mean, that just like feels like a radio name. Is that your? Is that just
No,
your
no.
I just
That's
think it's
just
awesome.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. No, that's just me. Yeah, so I it's weird because I am known as the Nintendo guy, but I have gone off the leash to talk Xbox twice this week. It's crazy.
Dang.
I was on Retro Logic talking about Halo 2 earlier this week, and now here I am hanging out with the Game Pass news guys. I am so thrilled to be hanging out with you guys again. It's been too long. It's been too long.
Yeah, it really has. Hey, we have, I mean, everybody here knows we run two podcasts, so everybody knows about Dad Crossing. So we've kind of revived that. So we'll have to get you back on that one too to get your feel on this update. So
I was gonna say last time I was on there, I killed Dad Crossing. So it was- I always blame myself. I was the last guest on Dad Crossing before the hiatus, so I feel like I killed Dad Crossing.
I know
Uh,
you didn't do that. The fact that Nintendo seemed to forget about Animal Crossing for 12 months. Did that.
yeah, that's for sure. Not on you at all. So we got Sean with a beer. I am a iced tea fan. What are you drinking over there, Seth?
hot tea.
Hot tea.
This is some Indian
Nice.
chai. It's
Ooh,
I'm
good
casual.
choice.
yeah
Nice.
yeah
Nice.
I love it.
It's 10 p.m. here, so and it's my
That's
first
fair.
official day off. So.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we want to say hi to the chat. Thanks, Hambone Johnny, Third Strongest Mole, Ebusel. Thanks for jumping in. We really appreciate it. Seth, you have. I was just chatting with Hambone Johnny the other day. You have his stream drink of choice right there. I don't know about chai, but hot tea. So yeah, see,
Yeah.
Hambone Johnny, all in for the hot tea, tea cast. That's right.
Yeah, man.
I consider
Let's do
myself
it.
a northern iced tea drinker because I like a little sugar. I don't like it to I don't like syrup when it's all said and done.
Right,
So,
right. I'm the same way. Down here, I live in Louisiana, and down south, sweet tea is like, let's just put a block of sugar in a gallon of sweet tea, and it's a little ridiculous. I put just a tiny bit of sugar in some chai like this, and I'm good to go. I'm totally fine with that.
yep.
So
You see, you'd all be ruined if you came to the UK. Like we literally we especially in Yorkshire, we drink Yorkshire tea because it's brewed and made in Yorkshire. And it's you put the tea bag in, you walk away, you come back 5 minutes later, you can't move the spoon in the cup because it's brewed and stewed for that long. And then you might add like a splash of milk. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's bitter and it's milky and it's warm, lukewarm because you've left it for a while. That's the Yorkshire way to drink tea.
I now want to try milk and tea. I've never tried it. Never in my life have I had milk and tea. Have you had it, Seth?
I've had milk and tea before.
Have
It's
you?
not my
I've not.
thing, to be
Yeah.
honest. I prefer bitter tea myself. Hambone Johnny in the chat is saying green tea or like matcha. Like I
Mhm.
love green tea.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorites. I don't know. I like the bitterness of the tea. Maybe a little bit of sweetness if it's a little sharp to
Mhm.
to offset it. But for the most part, I prefer my tea to be bitter as well. No milk for me.
Yeah, and that's what Third Strongest Mole says. Bitter as wormwood. That's what he wants. So this is an Xbox podcast, but man, I feel like we really need to get together. Hambone Johnny, all of us need to get together and have a tea cast one of these days. I'm
do it.
down for that. I live in.
I'm
Somebody
Totally.
call the Hatter because we're having a tea party.
That's right. I love it.
Yes. Yes.
So before we start off on Xbox top stories, we just wanted to give a big shout out to everybody, whether you donated, whether you came here and watched, whether you shouted us out on socials. Sean and I spent from 3 a.m. Sunday to 6 p.m. Yes, Sunday night. With a little bit of break there for some golf tournaments, streaming for Extra Life. For anybody who don't know, Extra Life is all about is all about making donating, and the money goes to kids in the Children's Miracle hospitals. We were playing for a hospital close to me, Helen DeVos in Grand Rapids, Michigan, because I'm a Michiganian. And so we raised our goal of $800. I should have had this closer, but Nintendo Dads altogether smashed their goal of $4,000 because we were on the Nintendo Dads team and made like 4,800 ish dollars, something right around there. So
That's awesome.
4,900.
There you go. Thank you.
That figure should hopefully increase. I'm currently waiting for an email back from my work. They used to do a program where if you like make a set amount of money, they either used to match it, or I think now they match it up to a maximum of £250.
Awesome.
So that's like roughly $318, something like that.
That would be
so. Hopefully, that figure should go up to above the $5,000 mark. Fingers crossed.
Nice.
I'm currently waiting. So
that would be amazing. By the way, Hembone Johnny, thank you for subscribing at tier 1. We were gonna put this at the bottom
officially our first subscriber.
That's right. We were gonna put this at the bottom of our top stories, but Sean, why don't you take it away? Our exciting news of Twitch right now.
So we started the Gamepass News podcast in June this year. It grew arms and legs very quickly, thanks to probably having a previous following with Dad Crossing, and obviously the people on the Nintendo Dad's Discord. But as of Monday, was it Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday. As of Tuesday this week, the 8th of November, Game Pass News is now an affiliate of Twitch. We hit our affiliate goal, so we had over 100 followers. We had an average of 3 viewers. We streamed so many hours and so many days, and so we now have a subscriber tier system. We've got channel points.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff in the works.
Yeah, there's stuff we've got to figure out, because there's going to be all kinds of stuff. I think there's emojis that we need to figure out for ourselves, and
it got real.
Awesome. It kind of like it got dropped on us, and then when we opened it, it was like opening Pandora's box, and we were both like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, what did we just do?
We need to look at it.
What did we just do? We were just having fun. We kind of just walked into this crap. So Seth, let's actually chat some Xbox here. Sorry guys, we really kind of chatted about a bunch of stuff there. So why don't you give us your Xbox history a little bit about kind of where you've gone and what your Xbox journey has been.
Sure. Yeah. So for me, I was a huge fan of the original Xbox. And as we're sitting here recording, we're just a few days away from the 20th anniversary of the original Xbox, which is bonkers.
Yeah.
I remember getting that Christmas back in 2001. And I love the original Xbox. Fantastic system, especially back then. I love how it was essentially the Dreamcast 2, and I loved it for that. A lot of weird games on there, a lot of great AAA games on there, really like powerful. Xbox Live was huge, loved it. And then coming into 360, I was into 360 and I liked it. It was definitely my like preferred platform for that generation. Like I played most of my games on there. I got big into achievements. My gamer score is like still stupid. I think I have like 120,000 gamer score or something like that. Just because I was so huge into achievements in that era. And then coming into Xbox One, they sort of lost me a little bit. I kind of, we were talking off recording a little bit. The messaging was a little bit mixed, and I wasn't huge into Xbox One. And so when the Xbox Series came around this generation, I was sort of checked out a little bit. I mean, I'm a big Nintendo guy, and the Switch is my only like current console. I don't have a PS5. I don't have an Xbox Series, and but I do have Game Pass because it is the best deal in gaming. It just is. And it's nice that I can play a lot of that stuff on my PC. And I think that Xbox does a lot of really cool consumer friendly things, to the point where if I do wind up getting a next gen system soon, it will be an Xbox Series X. They've got my interest. If they've been, honestly, all they would really have to do is just make me able to play Jet Set Radio Future on there, and they would sell me an Xbox right there. That's all they would need to do.
Just that quick. But weren't they chatting about that in the Sega partnership, Sean? Wasn't that one of the games that was chatted about?
Jet Set Radio is rumored to be one of the things that they're working on.
Yeah, with the Sega partnership. So yeah, you might. He's holding it up right now. He's got it. I love it. Yeah. So you might get it.
Ebisolin is asking in the chat, because you're a fan of the original Xbox. I mean, I had the crystal one, so I had the one that you could see through.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Have you seen on the Xbox's YouTube channel the Gen Z's react to the original Xbox video?
No.
So basically they put the Gen Zs. So like I don't know what age bracket classes
the Zoomers, right?
Yeah. They put them in a post 2000 bedroom. So you've got the fat back mini, like 13-inch TV with a DVD with
That's
a VCR
sick.
at the bottom and stuff like that. And there's an Xbox Classic sat there, the original Xbox, with the controller and all the cables. And like the video is all in parts of them like having to set it up, and they're all sat there with like the old red, yellow, and white cables. Like what?
Oh
what
my
what even is
gosh.
this?
Yes.
It's a really good video to watch, because like it goes like through the setting it up, and then they've got Zoomers, and then there's Boomers watching. So there's like guys our age kind of watching them set everything up and kind of like
brilliant.
comment. It's a really nice video. It's a good homage to the fact that like 20 years of Xbox.
That is pretty fantastic.
I love it, man. I'm gonna have to check that out. I love that.
Yeah, I think which controller did they give him? I didn't pay attention. Was it the
original?
Was it the Duke
Gotta
or
be the
whatever?
Duke.
Yeah,
Gotta be the Duke. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Monster.
I couldn't imagine seeing that controller now. I'm sure they were like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" They probably thought that was the console. It had to be close to the size of a Wii.
It's huge, man. It's massive.
It really is. Not today. I think it was earlier this week is Xbox SX anniversary. 1 year. It's been around for. It doesn't feel like it's been around for 1 year. Not gonna lie.
That's probably because it took most people half a year to get hold of one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and people are still struggling now. So I mean, I was literally talking to somebody at work the other day, and he was asking about the Nintendo Switch. He knows I've got one of the new ones. He was asking like, is it any good? Is it worth like buying the new one over buying a new OG? And I was like, talked him through that, and he was like, oh yeah, we went into Game, which is like our local retailer, and the guy behind the desk was like, you just whatever you do not promise your kids that they're going to have a PS5 or an Xbox for Christmas.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, man, it's only compounded, right? Before it was just the chip shortage. Now it's the chip shortage and the shipping. Like, even if you can make a bunch, it's probably in a container somewhere on a ship trying to get to wherever you're trying to get to. So, yeah, there's a bunch of reasons, it seems like now, and it's unfortunate. I got lucky. I mean, I really did. I was at work waiting for Walmart to open up online, thinking that I would get one, and that was laughable. Like, I had my card in there. I mean, I ordered it in like 45 seconds. I was all there, and
too slow.
It was gone. Yeah, too slow. 45 seconds. Like, I mean, it was ridiculous. Too slow. So I called GameStop, and they were like, yeah, we have two. And they were like, but I can't pre-order them over the phone, so you have to come here. And that was 20 minutes away. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen. But I was like, I'm desperate enough that I'll try. And so I hopped in the car and drove. And by the time I got there was one left. And I was able to pre-order it, and it actually got to me on time. So yeah, I've had it since it was, since the beginning. Really for me, because most people know I have a similar story to Seth, where like I dropped off at on the Xbox One. So there were a lot of legitimate, I'll say, complaints that really Forza is one of the first real big exclusives, quite frankly. I mean, it almost took a year for us to get our real first exclusive, but for me, it was just it was a legitimate complaint that it wasn't something that I had to deal with, because it was like, well, I didn't play any of these games on the one, so I mean, Sean had to deal with me being like, oh my gosh, have you played this? And Sean be like, yeah, I played that like 4 years ago. It was really good. I already beat it. And I'm like, well, I haven't. This is fantastic. So
that's me, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a ton of fun. It's been a great ride. And I mean, out of like our mutual love came this thing. And so yeah, Xbox S and X. Great. I think it'll be a great console for quite a few years, and probably for Xbox, it seems like it's really rocking it out of the house for them, for their metrics right now. So
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I haven't played as many variants of games in a long time.
Yeah.
Thanks to because of Game Pass and
Yeah.
doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this really does make it game sampler, and that I'm really okay with that. Like, every once in a while you find that game where you're like Psychonauts. I refuse to delete that from my like I shuffle games on my hard drive all the time, but I refuse to delete that game because it deserves to be finished, and I haven't got there yet,
Right.
but I will get there. Like, that's just a game that deserves to be finished. And then
Yeah.
Grounded. I would have never played Grounded if it wasn't for this. Like, it just would have never happened, and so yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that.
And it's funny too, because like that's the thing, guys. I say this all the time. I think I was talking about this on Nintendo Dads or something, but like there's nothing wrong with being a game sampler. You know what I mean? Like it's video games, y'all. Like it's just video games. Like we're here to have fun. And if something's not grabbing me immediately, regardless of the fact that we're all content creators and we feel like this weird, strange obligation to like finish all these games and blah, blah, blah to make content about it. Like regardless of any of that, we are ultimately here to play video games and have fun. So if I'm jumping into a game and I'm doing the game sampler thing, then so be it. Who cares? It's video games.
I have an absolutely horrific trait of playing a game all the way to the last boss or like the last something, and then I don't ever play it again. Like Luigi's Mansion, I got all the way to the last boss, stopped, didn't play it.
You don't want it to end.
Skyward Sword, I got all the way to the last boss battle, stopped. I haven't got the game anymore. So
oh man,
do you do that for the reason Seth said, or because you just get tired of it, or what do you think?
I kind of, it's one. I get this horrible. And it's, which game was it that kind of did it? It must have been Fallout 4. Like, because I put a lot of time into Fallout 4. I really enjoyed the game, played it in so many different ways. And when I beat it for the last time in that last story kind of branch that you could beat it in, I kind of sat there for it and I was like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I was like, that whole meme where there's that guy, the Indian looking guy that's kind of like just stood there staring into space. That was me for weeks. I was like, what do I do?
Don't know what to do with myself. Yeah.
So I always have this feeling, if I get to, especially like with Skyward Sword, because I love Zelda games and I'd never played that one to the end, and it's kind of like it's the only one I've never played to the end, and I know it's going to be a while before we get Breath of the Wild. So it's kind of like I've parked it and gone, I will go back to it before Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, and I will tackle it. So I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Metroid Dread is the only game that I've played from start to finish and finished. And I waited 14 years for that game to come out.
You mean this year? Is that what you're saying, or what? Or the only game ever? Or
I haven't
okay, I was like, what's the qualifier?
I've never beat a game.
I've never beat a game. Metroid Dread was the first one.
Yeah, literally, it's the last one for a long time. I think the last game I beat before that was Mario Odyssey.
Wow,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
man.
Wow. I mean, well, you kind of beat Animal Crossing. Not that you ever really beat Animal Crossing, but I mean,
you can't beat Animal Crossing. It just never ends.
It beats you.
It beat me into submission.
Where's it? Well, I had a thought and then it just left my brain, so I don't know what I was gonna say. We have. So happy birthday, Xbox S and X. We have a whole bunch of little stories for you guys. Nothing major this week really. But Phil Spencer is out making not waves, but kind of showing he's really good at these interviews where he kind of lets people just get a glimpse of what maybe the company's thinking. Like he doesn't spill any real beans or like make huge waves, but he's just like, hey, Xbox is really thinking more about casual and social and games like that, and we're looking at content that might be aimed less at the hardcore and more at casual gaming. And I mean, it's those little things where you're like, well, wait, do you guys know what content you do? I mean, that seems like a pretty huge statement. I mean, it doesn't mean they're not going to do any hardcore games, but like for the head of the company to be like, yeah, we're looking more in the social casual section now. And I was just like, well, what is that? And actually the first thing I said literally out loud when I read that was like, well, give me another Viva Pinata. That's like one of my favorite games. That's like totally right there.
Yeah, man.
So
that'd be awesome.
If they give Viva Pinata like a more of an open world, play with friends, kind of like almost like Animal Crossing-esque, so you could control an avatar that walks around the garden. You could interact more with the animals in Viva Pinata. I'd be lost. I'd like you'd literally have to wake me up to do the podcast because I really enjoyed Viva.
I did too.
I loved it. So if they could give it a more open world, larger scale, more interactive, like more ways to interact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember it feeling very small. Even at the time it did. The garden just was like I wanted a lot more space than what I had. I had to get the animals to come that I wanted to. I'd have to like delete stuff I had done or like, demolish it and then build something else to get like an animal that I needed or something like that. So, yeah, that's a casual game they have in their pocket that they really just need to like break that out and make something like that. Any other casual games you would like to see Microsoft get into since they're apparently looking at it?
Yeah, it's really weird because something like Viva Pinata would really tap into that, and really just letting Rare kind of like do that kind of stuff again. Rare has sort of been the Sea of Thieves team for a while, and I mean, heck, when they bought them, Rare's been part of the Xbox family for quite some time now, and when they bought Rare, they just had them working on the Xbox 360 avatars. Like that's what Rare was doing.
That's just crazy.
And I'm like, this is Rare. This is one of the most storied developers in video game history, and you've got these guys working on Xbox avatars. It's nuts. And then they had them doing. They did, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which I like more than most people. But then, something like Viva Pinata is a really like unique thing, very experimental. I think Rare is really good at being experimental, and a lot of times it works. I would love it if they let them loose on even a completely new IP. Like I'm looking forward to, I think they really kind of, if you'll pardon the pun, I think they really did kind of turn the ship around with Sea of Thieves. And I'm looking forward to Everwild, which is their next thing. But it would be really cool to see Rare tackle something like Viva Pinata or a new casual IP again, because I think that is just a legendary studio that needs to be doing more stuff. That would make me happy.
Yeah, and I mean, being an Animal Crossing guy, I mean, I really feel like not that you wanted to be a clone of it, but it would tap into that like community of people that like that kind of deal. I think that currently, I don't know that they really have a game other than like maybe a creative mode in Microsoft in Minecraft or something like that. Yeah. So, what do you think, Sean?
Yeah, Xbox seemed to handle the sandbox style games really well in the past. So, and even so much now for PC players that have got Java and the Bedrock editions of Minecraft, there is so much they can do with the system, and the fact that like Viva Pinata was one of the original Xbox 360 games that Rare worked on them with, and that system was limited in its capacity of stuff that it could do, even though it was huge at the time. On the next gen consoles like the Series X and the Series S, they could really make something huge. Like, and well, I say Animal Crossing huge, but Animal Crossing you are still limited to a very small island, but you can do a lot on the island. There's lots of well, we talk about it we talked about it every other week for a year and a bit really. There is so much you can do on the island and so much variation for each player individually. And if they did something very similar to that with Viva Pinata, not so much a complete a carbon copy because you don't want that, but if you could divide an island or an area up into different segments and have different animals in different areas and stuff like that, they could do a lot with it. And if they spent a bit of time thinking about it and developing it, it could be one of those games that kind of brings the Animal Crossing community to the Xbox. It'd be a really good opportunity if they did it right. It would do very well. And as Bobby used to say, because we keep referencing Animal Crossing, it would make like absolutely gangbusters. Be amazing.
Yeah, Seth, I actually had forgotten about Everwild, so that's what I was doing. I was just looking it up, and I did not realize that Polygon said in July that they had decided to reboot that game completely in a new creative direction. So it is multiple years away. Rare says at this point. So yeah, man. that's a real bummer. Because I was like, wait, that should be out next year, shouldn't it? And yeah. Because that was an Xbox showcase game, I think. I'm pretty sure.
It was.
Yeah.
Either that or maybe it was at E3 a year or two ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I feel like there are like an infinite number of Xbox games just in limbo right now. Like they've got so much going on, but all of it is like in limbo. Like we have Fable and Perfect Dark on the horizon, and then we have Xbox bought like 20 plus studios. And they're all working on stuff. And of course, now they've got Bethesda in the mix and they've got Obsidian in the mix and stuff. Like there's stuff coming, but it's all sort of in limbo, and like you mentioned earlier, up until now with stuff like Forza and Halo Infinite, which are massive games, obviously, we haven't really in this generation gotten any huge first party software output from Microsoft, which has been kind of strange to see. And the same can be said for Sony, certainly. Yeah. But yeah, it's been kind of weird and interesting to see.
Yeah, the funny thing is IGN, this will be IGN's second 10, Forza, and then Deathloop was their first one, which, well, it's just, Sean and I could not get enough laughter about the fact that it was made by a Microsoft studio and it was on a PlayStation. So, it just seems like maybe they started to look towards their game development for the next generation a little late. Maybe a lot late because we're a year in, so I think maybe we're more than a little late at this point. And yeah, they just couldn't hit those dates. I've given them a lot of flack for on the Xbox showcase to say, hey, you're gonna have this awesome Halo game in like 4 months, and then now we're more than a year out. Come on. There's somebody that knew on that Xbox showcase that was not going to hit that date. But they were like, listen, we're just going to throw it out there and then mea culpa it later because we're not going to say, yeah, we have an awesome console coming out and nothing new to play on it. They weren't going to do that in the showcase. So, yeah.
But what's interesting though is like, and I'm going to, we had Sean Capri from the Xbox Drive on All In recently. And he made a really good point, I thought, when we talked to him, and I'm just going to repeat it here. Because when you look at this holiday, right, in terms of software, Xbox has probably got, with Forza and Halo, the strongest first-party software offering. Like, Sony's not putting out really anything for first-party this holiday. And Nintendo is kind of already spent. Metroid was huge. We've got Shin Megami Tensei 5 coming out and Pokemon coming out, but SMT is kind of niche and Pokemon's just a remake. Like, Microsoft is putting out a brand new Halo game, and Forza, which is like you said, it's so well reviewed and everybody loves it, biggest launch ever and all of this. So, but yet they don't seem to have, for whatever reason, Xbox doesn't seem to have like in the fan base the people who are raw championing that. Yeah. Nintendo does. Like Nintendo, everybody's like, oh, awesome, they're bringing out old Pokemon games again, you know, and PlayStation, you know, it's like, oh, awesome, like Horizon and this and that, but Xbox doesn't seem to have the vocal, like the amount of people just saying like, how great is this that we have Halo and Forza this holiday, and nobody else is putting out any major heavy hitter first party software, and they are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I hadn't thought of that. Something was supposed to hit with Nintendo that didn't hit. I guarantee you that, because this is a really weak holiday. I don't know if it's Pokemon or if it was supposed to be Breath of the Wild. I don't know, man. Something was supposed to be there that wasn't there.
Nick, it was supposed to be Donkey Kong.
That's what Justin thinks. That's what Justin thinks.
Justin and I are on the exact same page on that, and we've talked about that. It was 100% supposed to be Donkey Kong. I firmly believe that's going to be a thing early next year, where we just wake up on Twitter one day and it's just going to be a Donkey Kong game is announced, or it's going to be part of like a, you know, like an early 2022 direct or something like that. I 100% think that Donkey Kong is a thing.
You guys are in good company. I mean, I just finished listening to NVC, and Pear says the same thing, that there's a Donkey Kong game. I mean, not that he's heard rumors or anything, but he just, you know, reading the tea leaves, believes that there's that Donkey Kong game coming in next year.
1000%.
Which there is the Donkey Kong in the Mario movie, right? I mean, something has to drop with that Mario movie. Come on now. You're not going to drop that movie without something coming out, a video game coming out with it.
Look, don't get me on the Donkey Kong tangent, but it's for sure. They've got the movie coming out. They've got the Super Nintendo World expansion coming out. You don't do that for a series that has not had a new game in like almost 8 years.
Yeah
you just don't do that.
It's fair.
You know?
Because I really thought a new Mario was coming out, but then but it could be a Donkey Kong too, because, you know, DK's in that, so yeah. But speaking of, we were just speaking of Fable. Playground Studios said that Fable has already been in development for at least 4 years. This isn't shocking, but it does mean that maybe, because we've heard rumors that, well, you know, it could be 3 or 4 years out. Now, not that there aren't games that are in development for 7 to 8 years. Hopefully that won't be this one. But we haven't heard a single peep about it, which tells me that we're probably not seeing it in 2022. It was probably a 2023 game, I would imagine. Which makes me a little sad, I'm not gonna lie. But it's one of my faves.
Unless they want to do unless March time, they kind of do a big drop and say, here we go. Summer exclusive.
They could. I'm still trying to learn. Xbox seems to be all over, and not that Nintendo isn't too, but I'm still trying to learn Xbox's MO on how they announce and release games.
In my experience with trying to follow rumors for games and then those rumors becoming fruition, there is no pattern. And I think that's what Xbox do really well, is they kind of like, look, we're working on this game. It's, you know, it's going in the background. We've let you know about it. And then they can be like, okay, 3 weeks later, look, this game's going to drop in 4 weeks' time. Yeah, we've only just told you about it like a month ago, and now you're going to be able to have it in a month. So there you go. Enjoy it. And that kind of like, they blow up, and then they do completely the opposite, where
they
show us like Fable, hey, we're going to work on this game for a while, and then 4 years later, it's like, we're still waiting on this game, and they're like, yeah, well, we're not going to tell you anything else about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just hang on.
I think Xbox also likes to play the game of like, and it's not a game, but it's more, I mean, Nintendo fans ask for this. They like to, but maybe Xbox needs to more explicitly say it. Like in the Xbox showcase when they show Fable, you know, to be like, hey, we haven't forgot about this. You're going to have a new one. But we don't, you know, what they don't tell you is you're probably going to be waiting a little bit. That's what I've seen. When you get those teasers, that usually means we just want you to know that we're working on it. You know, it doesn't mean it's anytime soon.
It's such a the whole like release announcement thing is such a it's a lose-lose situation, because if they were to just come back every E3 and trot it out and be like, we're still working on it, like that's not going to make anybody happy. Nope. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So, but then at the same time, you see, I think back to when EA was working on Mass Effect Andromeda, and every year they're like, here's a little bit of concept art, and here's like some behind the scenes stuff or whatever, and everybody was like, just show me the freaking game, man. Like I'm just ready for the game. So people aren't happy with anything, and I think that announcing something like Fable or Perfect Dark is like it's like a goodwill move. It's like a, hey, we're still working on the things that you care about, but they announce it way early. The good thing that Microsoft does is they now have got all of this like stranglehold on third parties. Like, so smart of them to do something like purchase a Double Fine, and have something like Psychonauts 2 come out this year, which has been massive for them, and then to turn around also and have Bethesda in the back pocket to where now you're going to have Starfield next year. Almost forgot the name. You're going to have that next year. That's going to be massive. You know, that's a Bethesda game that is going to be on Game Pass, you know, like Xbox exclusive. Like, that's going to be huge. That's so smart. They don't have to worry too much about first party software being ready because everything else is.
Yep. Yeah, that's and you know, Seth, it's funny. I just looked this up because I was going to say the way Bethesda did Starfield, to just like say this is when it was going to hit, and I thought it was 11/11/2022, and so it is. So if Starfield hits their date, we are literally a year away from Starfield today. So we'll see if Starfield can knock it out of the park. If they can, kudos to them to give you a release date that far in advance and actually hit it on a huge AAA game. That's something that doesn't happen very often. But we'll see if they can actually make it happen. So
yeah, I'm a little disenfranchised with Bethesda, to be honest with you, but that game's gonna be massive. Regardless of the quality of it, that game's gonna be massive.
Yeah. For what reason?
To be honest with you, what it was for me, because I love the old Elder Scrolls games, I love the Fallout games, but every time I play a new one, I'm like, why is this? It's always like buggy and unpolished, and I'm like, this at a certain point. For many years, we were kind of letting Bethesda get away with that because their games are so big and so detailed and they're unlike anything else. But that's not really the case anymore. Like, now you have things like The Witcher and things like even something like Dying Light, which is a game that is just as big and detailed and has like side quests and like a whole parkour mechanic and stuff. And it's not a buggy mess at launch, you know? So at a certain point, I was just sort of like, at a certain point, this can't be okay anymore. We can't keep giving them a free pass on this stuff because, they're like, these are hundreds of people working on these games for 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, at a certain point, you just there has to be a line in the sand where you have to kind of vote with your wallet and be like, man, like I can't support this if you guys aren't going to release a polished product, you know? I became a little disenfranchised with them.
Sure, yeah.
And I completely agree. And I absolutely love the fact that you mentioned Dying Light as a non-buggy kind of game from day one, because that game is huge. And it still plays really, really. We go back, like I've gone back and I've gone through it a couple of times, and still plays really well. Now, I go back to Elder Scrolls and I think to myself, why did I waste so long playing this game when, you know, certain things load up and you get stuck in the graphics this often, and I still have a bad taste in my mouth with the whole, like, you can pick up an item before you accept the side quest, and then you can't complete the side quest because you already have the item and you can't pick it up again. So it's not okay anymore. Before they didn't have competition, and now they do. You know, now there are people that are like, we can do this better. You know, and so they have to step it up. So I hope they do with Starfield. I really hope they do.
You know, you can even go a step further than that. One of the first games, I don't know if it was one of the first, but it was close. Sean can tell you. Sean said, I said, I've never played a Fallout game. I want to try one. He said, play Fallout 4. That's the game to play. And I said, cool, I'll play Fallout. I was like constantly DMing Sean while I was like in the intro. I'm like, this game is fun. This is great. I was like, you can collect all this stuff. I was like, there's base building. Like, I was just getting more and more hyped. And then I came across what is Cog? What is the robot's name?
Yeah, you got stuck with
Codsworth. Yeah. And I just couldn't. I literally could not. I would have had to delete my save and start all over. And then they still said, well, there's like a kernel, so they find a lot of times that doesn't actually solve it. That you literally have to like delete the save and the game. And I was like, no. I was like, there's all kinds of other games I can play. So not only are they not releasing a polished product, sometimes they're not even worrying. I mean, there's thread after thread on the internet of this bug. that they had years to patch out after
Right.
release, and they never did. So yeah,
And they're comfortable just releasing Skyrim over and over again. You know what I mean? They're very like people give them such a free pass because we love like Fallout and we love the Elder Scrolls worlds and stuff like this. But at a certain point, I just had to like kind of step back and see the forest from the trees and be like, this isn't okay anymore.
Yeah.
Like we at a certain point have to acknowledge that this is not okay. We have to demand better. You know, so that was kind of where I'm at with them. And I will come into Starfield with an open mind, and I hope that after all this time that it releases. And in competition, I think always ends up breeding excellence. I think competition is a good thing, you know. So when you see a game like The Witcher or Dying Light or something like that, it's like, you know, this is a smaller by many times than Bethesda, and they've managed to release a game that's just as big, just as detailed, and it isn't a buggy mess.
My only worry with Starfield is it comes out and it ends up being like the next No Man's Sky.
Right.
You move from one place to another, repeating the same process all over again. That'd be like Bethesda. Look, the guys over at No Man's Sky did this wrong, and then spent 12 months to repair
fixing it. Yeah,
don't go do that. Do something else.
To be honest, though, that's a game I want to play. People keep, in podcasts that I listen to, keep talking about this game, about how amazing it is now. You know, and they always admit, you know, it wasn't amazing to begin with, but they say it's absolutely great now. I really do, and don't know that I'll have time because there's always the next game to play, right? People give it praise now.
When No Man's Sky came out, I was big on the Xbox One, and a guy that I worked with, called Nigel, was big on the PlayStation 4, and he got No Man's Sky before me because it came out before Xbox and so on and so on. And like he said, oh yeah, it's great. Like the first week he played, oh yeah, this is amazing. You know, you fly through space, learn on its planets. You got to get this, you got to get that. You got to like fight monsters. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, I kind of said, oh, you still playing No Man's Sky? And he goes, no, I got absolutely sick of fighting the same penis-shaped monsters on a completely different planet. I got rid of the game. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, can I be honest with you guys? I don't know that I've ever said this on any podcast ever. This is my No Man's Sky hot take. I'm the opposite. I actually liked the original release and got a little bit turned off when they started updating it.
That's interesting.
I feel like I'm the only person on the planet that feels this way, but my wife and I got that game on PS4 when it first came out, and we spent like 50 hours in it within the first couple of weeks. Like we just were playing it constantly. Like I really liked the freedom and the openness of it, and it was just this kind of like weird, unique game that we really got into. And sure, we fell off of it, but I mean, like we still ended up putting like 80 hours in that game. We platinumed it. Have you saw so Seth loves penis-shaped monsters? They're, you know, hey, I'm not gonna fight you on that. But yeah, it was just kind of like a weird, freeing, like kind of experience, and we loved it. And then as they started updating it, we jumped back in, and it was kind of overwhelming. Like it was a little bit like, yeah, there's kind of too much. So I'm in the opposite camp, weirdly, but I know I'm in the vast minority with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that though. There are other games, and I mean, you know, just to go back to something we all can relate to, Animal Crossing is the same way. Like now, if you jump into Animal Crossing, sure, I mean, I would feel buried. I mean, after all of these updates and then this new DLC, I mean, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. And I think it's that way with all kinds of things. Mobile games are really good and bad at this, right?
Right.
Like you start out and you're like, oh yeah, this is great. And then you drop off for a year, you come back and you're like, what the hell have they done to this game? There's like this feature and that feature, and now there's just like all this new stuff, and you're just like, no, I'm out. I'm done with this. Like they just keep expanding and expanding to keep the crowd there. So yeah. Real quick, moving on. This is for anybody who cares, which might just be me. I don't know. Rune Factory 4 makes its way to the Xbox. This is brand new for Xbox. The first Rune Factory 4 game, which maybe, fingers crossed, means we will get Rune Factory 5 when it comes out with XC. That's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. So, so Rune Factory 4 is coming out, the special edition in this December on Xbox. I don't think it's a Game Pass game. I don't believe that. So just to clarify that, I don't think it's a Game Pass game. At least it might be, but that's not the way the article read at the moment. That hasn't been released. Sometimes they they make a big deal of a game, and then like a few weeks to a month before although we're already a month before, they'll throw out that it's Game Pass. But at the moment, I don't think that is. But I love Rune Factory. Really enjoyed their games. It's a farming cave fighting monsters in dungeons kind of thing. It like mashes all the fun things that I like about video games into one, and the story's a little wonky and maybe doesn't make entire sense, but that's okay. It's still fun. So there's that. Xbox Spotlight. Let's chat about the games, and Seth, let's chat about the games we have been playing. Seth, have you been playing anything on your Game Pass subscription lately?
Not lately, although I will say I think that didn't KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic that came out on Xbox also?
Yes,
didn't
yep.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can shout that out at least. Yeah, so that just came out today at the time we're recording this, and I love that game so much. And I was playing the Switch version on stream, so I would assume that the Xbox version is also a very competent port, and I quite enjoy some KOTOR, and it's a competent port, nice and widescreen. It controls really well. I mean, the gameplay is a little bit dated. The game's like 17 years old or some such crap like that. It's old.
Yeah.
So I mean, it plays like an old BioWare game, but it's still that's got to be among the greatest Star Wars stories ever told. So
yeah,
highly recommend that.
Did we just say that Knights of the Republic is on Game Pass?
No, I think it's on Xbox.
I don't think it's on Game Pass.
No, it's on I think Xbox.
It's on Xbox, but it's on Game Pass. Okay.
Yeah.
Not on Game Pass.
I thought while you were streaming it earlier, I checked that. I was like, is it on it? But okay.
Yeah. Sean popped into the stream and fact checked that. So yeah, it is on Xbox, but not on Game Pass.
Okay.
Another game, an indie game. So I love indie games. We cover indie games all the time on All In, and one that we're covering this week on the show is also, I believe, on Xbox. It's called Unpacking.
Oh yeah. We were talking about that last week.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like that game a lot. We really are big fans of Unpacking, and I played through that twice, and my wife played through it once. I just really I liked it.
I got to the level after the dorm where you get to the house.
Yeah.
I kind of like looked at how big the house was, and I was like,
it's huge.
I'm out now. I was really zen until there was lots more rooms. I was like, this is too stressful. This is like actual moving. Sorry.
Yes.
No.
Yes. That's an interesting thing because my co-host on All In, Eric, he's the same way. He's like, I can't play this game for too long. It stresses me out. And I'm the exact opposite. I find the game very relaxing and like strangely life affirming. Like it has like some weird like emotional moments in it. I really like that game a lot.
Yeah, I liked the whole memory making thing and having to take the pictures and like the scrapbooking side of things. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But as soon as there were too many rooms, I was like, I've moved house too many times.
That's how Eric is.
Where I'm moving somebody's house. No.
I could not agree with Sean more. I am interested though. So after you do a house, like what does it get bigger? Like what's the next thing? Is it just more of the same? Like does it get bigger than the house? Because the house, I was with Sean, I was like, no, I'm done.
So what's interesting is there are a couple of scenarios where you'll be, because you're going through this character's life, and you start off in 1997 in her childhood room. You end up going to college, and you're in like a college dorm, and then you wind up in a house. But then like not to get like into spoilers or anything, because I hope people listen to this and play the game, but there are going to be moments where you have to downscale. Just like we've all been there, right, where you fall on hard times. And and there are levels that are like that. There are levels where it'll be a living situation where you're living with somebody else, and so you can't move some of the items. Then there are levels, especially getting towards the end of the game, where you have to arrange your house with multiple people's items in it. So just speaking in vague terms, but I mean like the scale of the chapters changes.
You did very well there to avoid.
Man, now I kind of want to do it, because I will say that was the one thing I said in the last in our last cast, was that I love the fact that like when I went from the bedroom to the dorm, like it was like, oh, that teddy bear is still with me,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And I did really appreciate that. And I guess I didn't think about that they would just keep playing out your life, and that does make me want to know the story now. But man, is that on xCloud? Does anybody know? If that's on
Not sure about
xCloud,
that.
I probably could play it. I just don't want to sit down here and unpack stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you don't like the act of actually unpacking things, then you know you're not gonna like it. But
I don't mind it. I just don't want to do it down here. Like if I can sit and
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
TV and unpack stuff, I'm good. But I don't want to unpack it down here. Anyways, we'll
I
figure
just
it out.
I just totally zone out.
I
I
was
just
in
zone out
the
and do
looking for my phone and could not find it.
Okay. All right. Cool. And so, well, actually, there's another game that we all played, or that Sean and I played for Extra Life, that you absolutely love, that I thought I didn't even know about. So we'll jump to that before we hit Forza. It Takes Two.
Yes.
This is where Sean fought a squirrel on his underpants, just so you know. Man, when we started out, I was really like, I don't know, Sean, you know, this game looks a little weird and it's kind of wonky and the story's different and blah blah blah. But man, we got into the puzzles, and then you get vested into the story, and I mean, I really want to play more with Sean. We'll have to try to figure out a time to do it, but I mean, man, that game blew me away. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it went from this is just weird, and because you from the game out, you don't kind of get that deep dark feeling, because it does deal with some very strong feelings. You've got two parents that are falling out, and you've got a daughter that's very upset about that, and it's kind of like it makes you think about how, as parents, sometimes you do forget about what you say in front of the kids, kind of how they can feel and stuff, and so you get all that. And so then she brings these dolls to life, and it's like we said, it was kind of gimmicky. We were a bit like, this is a bit like, you know, who does what and when do we do it? But then as we got into the challenges where we were having to work together and things like it just, yeah, it drew me in, and I really enjoyed it. And I am very much looking forward to playing some more and finishing it. That's a game that I could quite happily get to the end of. So,
there you go. It'll be the second game Sean finishes
this year. Yep.
I love that game so much, you guys. It is probably I cannot imagine another game coming out this year that I will be more impressed with than It Takes Two. Like, that game absolutely floored me. I couldn't believe how smartly designed it was, how they're constantly throwing new mechanics at the player. Like, I compare the game to Super Mario Galaxy a lot, and when I do that, a lot of people are like, what in the world are you talking about? But it really does remind me of that, because in Mario Galaxy, it's like every single world you're getting like some kind of new mechanic or gimmick or something like that, and they all work. It Takes Two is the exact same way. Like, nothing feels half-baked. Everything feels completely well done and well considered. And like, again, like you guys were touching on, it tells an emotionally affecting story. There are moments in that game. I'm not going to spoil. I wouldn't dare spoil anything for you guys, but there's a moment in that game. My cousin and I played through that game. There's a moment in that game that is so horrific that was like, we were just screaming, like we were just like yelling at our screen. And I watched Midsommar, the horror movie, that same night, and nothing in that movie was as bad as what happened in It Takes Two.
Wow.
It was horrific. You guys will know exactly what I'm talking about when you get there. Just such a wonderful, like, surprises at every corner, great puzzles, great cooperation, teamwork. That game is just wonderful. Like, I really encourage people to play that.
And you've got the mixture of platform, flying, strategy,
yes,
third person shooters, because we were obviously going through all the section where Nick was having to glob everything up with the goop,
right.
I was having to shoot it with a match. And like you say, there isn't a level that's exactly the same as the last, and there isn't.
No.
You don't know what to expect next. So it's great, and I'd like to try and play it with the wife in couch co-op, because I think that'd be an interesting side of things as well.
And it works so well too, the way they do the split screen and stuff, and like, it's just really brilliant. It's like a brilliant co-op experience. One of the best co-op games I think I've ever played. Like, so good. I was so impressed by it, and that feeling continues the entire way through. It's like a 12-hour game, and it never lets up. Nothing feels redundant. Nothing ever feels like this is lame. It just gets more impressive as the game goes on. You'll start getting into areas that are like open, like almost like mini open worlds in the game. Like it is crazy how much imagination and creativity and like well done mechanics are in that game. I was absolutely floored by it.
Yeah, I think so. Like one of my favorite type of like I like watching a good drama series. Like I don't know if anybody's watched A Million Little Things or something like that. It's a
Mm.
TV series that's just really good. It hits on a lot of deep topics, but I love it because I love the series that does this thing where you're like laughing, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, that was deep. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden it takes this hard right, and you're not even ready for it. And that's what It Takes Two does. You're just like all of a sudden I don't know, you're fighting a squirrel on underpants, and then all of a sudden you're talking about this super watching this scene of this super like emotional cutscene of life of what can happen. And so yeah, those kind of things where they make you laugh and then basically cry. Yeah, I just really like that when it can be done well. And so yeah, I was all in. I'm ready. I was all
So
in.
good.
There you go. Also a
Hey,
good podcast.
there you go. I'll need that royalty check in the
That's
mail
right.
for that.
Seth, anything else you've been playing?
That's about it in terms of stuff that's on Xbox. I mean,
Sure.
like, I plenty of stuff in the Nintendo world, of course, but
Mhm.
we're here to talk about Xbox, y'all.
Yep.
Keep
Yep.
it Xbox.
I gotcha. Sean and I played Knockout City. I still love that game. It's the only
Me too.
multiplayer online game I'm good at. I mean, I'm not great, but I can at least hold my own.
I had the best games I've ever had in Knockout City during Extra Life. Like I got
Nice.
I got quadruple knockout. I got like quadruple like knockout frenzy. I was like, dude, that's the best I've ever played. For whatever reason, I just clicked with it finally.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Great game.
yeah, it really is. My son still loves it. We don't play it as much as we used to. We kind of missed out on this season. We did everything in the movie, in the one where it was all about the superheroes. Yeah, I don't know. That game just is absolutely great. Sean and I played Back for Blood. I'm not much of a zombie guy. I will admit I was having audio issues in these first few. Like we played Sea of Thieves too. I can't even talk about Sea of Thieves, y'all, because all I did was follow Sean around because my audio was a good 15 seconds behind everything.
yeah.
And so Sean was like,
Man.
he was like, I know, I could tell you were getting frustrated because you're like, you have to go over here and pick up this key. And I'm like, and then like 15 seconds later, I'm like, oh, the key? Okay. I was just trying to figure it out. It was so rough. So we played back.
Yeah, for anybody that watched us from the beginning of Extra Life towards the end, you definitely watched us develop our capabilities of streaming party chat and playing online on Xbox all at the same time. So we're both sorry and grateful for that. So thank you.
An experiment.
Yeah, it definitely was. Oh man, that was rough.
In terms of Back for Blood, for somebody who's played Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 and Dying Light as a cooperative, it's very well done. It is very well polished. The online is really well. It's really well done. We played just me and you for a while with two bots, and then Ebucel joined us for a while. And then we had, when Ebucel joined us, we had a random guy that just kind of wanted to run off all the time. We couldn't hear him, but Nick could.
Oh, he was so pissed most of the time. Why can't you people go where I was laughing so hard.
But then that then takes me back to the point I'm going to make is the game doesn't do very well at giving you very clear objectives as to what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go, which I believe is to make the game a little bit more difficult, because Left 4 Dead, you were kind of like, you just need to keep going forwards, go through this horde of zombies and keep going forwards, where Back 4 Blood kind of, you had to be doing something in a different area to progress forward. So it plays well. There's a lot of different things in that game. So pipe bombs do different stuff. Just there's lots of different what am I trying to think the word I'm thinking of? There's lots of different mechanics in the game that you can use to your advantage and that are a disadvantage, like scaring the birds. is a very easy thing to do, but it's also very easy to avoid. So yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoy playing it, and I'd like to go back to it.
Yeah, Ebucel hit it. There's a bunch of fiddly bits. That's
Fiddly
just like
bits.
that's exactly right. Like that's exactly. And there's some mechanics in there that they don't really explain. Like you guys were all like, "Hey, you should spend some of this money that you have." I looked down. I had like I don't know 4,000 coins. Everybody had been spending their money on all these things. And
You're like, there's money.
yeah, I was like, you guys kept running to that case, and I was like, okay. I was like, I'll let them get all the good weapons. I'm fine with this weapons I got. And then like I realized, oh, it's not like a case just for like of a certain amount of weapons. It's like where you go to buy stuff before each act. And so I was like, oh, I get it now. Okay, but yeah, I don't feel like that was explained. Maybe it was because we were in multiplayer. I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you on that part. um. We will end with talking. Well, I don't want to say end, but the next last game we played in Extra Life was Forza. We didn't really play Forza. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, what we didn't do is
we tried hard.
we didn't research that you have to get to a certain level in the game or have done certain amount of races before you unlock the multiplayer, which kind of like
Oh,
fell on
no.
us a little bit. But since Extra Life, I have played it a little bit more. And when I say a little bit more, I'm up to like 11, level 10 or 11 now.
Wow.
I'm enjoying it. This is by far the best Horizon game that they've ever done with the Forza series. Just such a mixture of roads, cars, terrain, gameplay, action. It's crazy. I haven't yet run out of things that I want to do. And like every time I turn a corner, there's like, oh, there's a really big jump there. I'm going to see how far I can get over it.
Mm.
So
you have you basically played them all, Sean? I mean,
yes, I have played every single one.
Okay, all right. This is a fun juxtaposition because I have played none. Like I'm just not a car guy. When I
That's
had
where I'm
the
at.
Xbox and the Xbox 360, I would have never bought a Forza game. I would have had to buy it, and I'm not gonna buy a game like that. Um, although suckered me into $50 for early access so that I could play with Sean on Extra Life, of which we didn't get to do because we didn't make it far enough. So you're welcome, Microsoft. There's your donation.
You got it.
Yeah. What I will say is for the simulation side of things, they have balanced this very, very well. The drifting with all the asset, like all the driving assists on, which I haven't played it. I can imagine it's quite an easy, straightforward game to play. With them all turned off, apart from manual gears, is the only thing I haven't got switched off because I haven't programmed my controller yet. I haven't sat down to mess around with my controller and program the paddles on the back for the Elite Series 1. It balances so well. Like I can go sideways around the corner at 150 mile an hour and keep the car traveling forwards and to the angle of the corner very, very easy. So the simulation side of things is very, very good. It's very responsive on the triggers for like the brake and the accelerate, which previous version of this game, it's kind of tried to push you towards having a steering wheel and pedals to try and get that fine balance. They seem to have done really, really well to allow you to use a controller quite easy with this for simulated steering anyway.
We really need to do a co-op stream of this and just call it like Sean teaches Nick how to drive in Forza. Because let me tell you, what I've learned to do is try to come at the widest angle possible so that I can then use whatever wall or tree is there and bounce off of it and not stop. Like I'm not even gonna lie. But I'm not. Also, it's still a ton of fun. Like I am absolutely loving this game. And unlike Sean, I have every assist on. Like there's arrows, there's I have them all. I have it all.
That would be me.
Yeah, it's
that
like
would be me.
You know, I just want to drive around and have fun. And I was a little worried that maybe I was making it too easy because I was getting a lot of firsts and everything. But when I opened up this new area, I had to get there in like 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And it took me probably 5 tries before I made it with the 1 star to be able to continue. So I'm like, no, I'm good. Okay, I'm right where I need to be. But I don't know. I just something about it. And then I love that some of them you can race, some of them are exploring, some of them you're just exploring lands trying to find like photos and secret hidden spots. Yeah, I'm totally
The
in.
photo mode is a completely different thing to talk about as well, because if you feel like you've gone through an area and you think I could go through there faster and more sideways and make it look more like I'm actually, pushing the limits a little bit. If you go back through again and hit the photo mode, it pauses the car exactly where you wanted it to, and
Yeah.
you can like scan around the car. You can pick the best angle and take a photo. It's great. That mode in Horizon 3 was I took a photo on that in one of the cars that I used to rally in when I did a bit of rallying. I had the exact same car. I changed it to the
cool.
exact same color and stuff like that. And I had it going full lock left sideways around this corner in the desert. And it was my background on my phone. It was the background on my laptop. It was the background on my TV for absolutely ages because it was so realistic. It looked so realistic. Yeah. And they've
That's
done
awesome.
an extremely good job of the graphics in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 2 issues so far where driving along the car has suddenly gone from like 100 miles an hour to dead stopped, hasn't like just stopped dead, and then it'll start going again. I've had 2 issues, but I think that's more of a server issue than a graphics issue. So
Also, more games need to take note of how they entered this game. I mean, it was fantastic. So you have a character creator mode. I cannot tell you as a streamer how often I will start a game and I'm like, all right, we're gonna create a character. Okay, all right, and then I'm gonna
Right,
do this.
right.
Okay. What's my setting for my screen? All right, yep, okay. And now okay, we got another setting, and I'm like, well, guys, sorry, we're almost. Boom! Like you get dropped in from a plane. There's an awesome cutscene. You get dropped in from a plane. You get to drive for a little bit. Dropped in from another plane. Probably I would say 10-ish, 15 minutes of just like car after different car after different car after different car on different terrain, different train, and then it's like, hey, yeah, now you've made it to where you needed to go. Create a character. And it was just like, it's the perfect way to do that, where you're not like, you're super excited about this game, and then, not that the character creator's not cool or you don't want to do that, but it's like, oh, that's not, it's a car game. I'm not super excited about creating a character. I'm super excited about like hitting the road, and they did exactly that.
And to further on the character creator as well, once you go to the Festival Horizon, you can go back into the character creator and actually fine tune that. And what I do like is they've introduced that if people have got artificial limbs, which is really good nod to to people that have lost limbs in their lives and stuff like that. And it's a really good nod to be able to create that, because I haven't yet, other than things like Cyberpunk and Fallout, I've never really seen a character creator which allows for people with, fake limbs. Basically, it was a really good nod to that, and I quite enjoy that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's real cool.
But while we're talking about dropping in, the last car they dropped you in with, the AMG one, I could have driven that car all day.
I couldn't drive that car at all. I had so much trouble driving that thing. I kept burning out, and I don't know, it was too fast for me. I like the Jeep, it helps me out.
Yeah, it's the first game where that car has been used, and I think it's going to be one of the only games where that car is used. It's a project car made by Mercedes that I think they're only going to make like maybe 10 in real life.
I didn't know that.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's a big one for Xbox to have like the loyalties or the royalties or the license to use that. So
sure. This is the biggest Microsoft has said it's the biggest launch in Microsoft Game Studios history. 4.5 million players played at launch. So, and of course, that doesn't mean there was 4.5 million Forza games sold. That means there was 4.5 million people that played Forza either on Game Pass or they bought it or however they wanted to do it. But I'm sure most of those were Game Pass plays. I would have no doubt.
Sure.
So what I will say is I beat a race earlier, and when you finish the race, it gives you all the driver time names and stuff like that, and all the information extra. My brother is level 36.
Seriously? Jeez, that's crazy.
And he didn't pay for the premium access. So it's now Thursday the 11th of November as we're recording. The game was released 2 days ago, and he's already level 36. He has put some time in.
Dang, that is crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, it is kudos to Microsoft. It's a fantastic game. Absolutely enjoying it. As you can tell from Sean and I, you can enjoy it if you love cars and it's car games are your thing, and you can enjoy it if you're like me and you just want to explore and have some fun and goof off and don't really know entirely what to do. There's I mean, somehow they've taken this game that is very accurate and has a serious amount of simulation and kind of almost tooled it with a little bit of Mario Kart-esque stuff where it's like, listen, you can have your Sean experience with no assists and do it all and do stuff that I don't even understand, or you can be like me and just hang out with all the assists and still have fun. So kudos to them for that.
I love that. Is it on Game Pass PC? Do you know?
Yes, it is on Game Pass PC.
It is. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to download that tonight.
So, yeah, I'm couldn't say enough about it. Sean, do you have anything else?
Not that's not Xbox.
Not Xbox. Gotcha. Fair enough. The only other thing I've been playing, and I'll just spend a few seconds with it, because my son got into it for the first time. I'll probably talk about it more in next week. But my son got Minecraft for the first time, and he bought it for himself. He's been saving up money. I've been making him do chores and getting it because I've been realizing that Dad probably pays for too many video games that he just gets on his own. And so I was like, no, this one you're gonna have to do on your own. And so he bought it. So I had my first foray into Microsoft Family accounts. First time I've had to deal with that stuff. And it's not too bad. I at first, like, I got him in there. He was like, Dad, I want to play with my friends, of course. So I log in, and it's like, it logs me in, which was also interesting because he was like, because, Noah doesn't really know much about my Xbox play yet because I don't want to get involved with it. But like, I entered my Nintendo account into it, and it was like, oh, Nintendo, here you go. And he's like, you have a Minecraft account? And I'm like, yeah. Well, I mean, he's getting smart, so it's probably not going to last much. Yeah, it's not going to last much longer, this kid. And so I had to but I made him a child account under me, which didn't take too much work. The only real snafu is my iPhone decided to make a really strong password and then not remember it, so that was an issue. But that's not on Microsoft. And I'm able to control who he talks to, if he can talk to friends of friends or friends. I'm really pleased with how deep Microsoft has gone into this. I can see how long he's chatted, how long he's played. I mean, I can see a lot of this from the Switch too, but it's really cool that I have a lot of control actually on that side. And I know Sean did a deep dive, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 podcasts ago, maybe longer than that actually, into the child controls. And so that was super helpful too, having that under my belt. But I haven't had much time to sit down with him. He got lost in a couple mines, but I'll keep you guys up to date on the Minecraft. I will say I specifically have passed by Minecraft because I knew that it could suck my time away. And,
oh my gosh!
So I know for a fact Minecraft would have you drawn straight in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you guys a quick story about Minecraft that's pretty funny?
Sure.
My wife moved in with me in 2013, and I had Minecraft on one of my consoles, and she was just, oh, Minecraft, I've heard about this, let me play it. And I had a full day at work and she was playing it. She had just moved in with me, new city, she didn't have a job yet. So she had played it the entire time I was at work. I came home, kissed her goodnight, went to sleep. She was still playing. I woke up the next day and she was still playing.
Oh my gosh.
She played Minecraft for like 16 straight hours. It was nuts. Yeah, she was hooked. Absolutely hooked. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm super excited to kind of just get into it with him. I mean, I was very lenient on how much money generous, I guess is the right word, with how much money I gave him for chores, because I really did want him to have it pretty quick. Because, because it's, out of all the video games, it's a good one for him to have and start building, and he loves.
Yeah, lets him be creative. Yeah, sure, it's virtual
exactly.
Legos.
Yeah, exactly. So, so he's only on creative mode right now. I was gonna play a little of the survival mode and see how creepy it was, but I'm sure he'll be on survival mode before long. He's already complaining that it's where his friends are. So, that is what we have been playing to this week. Breaking news out this week. We talked about Forza, One Step from Eden, which is a card building game. Football Manager 2022, which is for us here in American, that's soccer. Not
Manager.
American football. It's not American football. Is out. It came out a couple days ago as well. GTA San Andreas dropped today. I don't know. I'm messing with stuff. Sean, I'm breaking stuff. GTA San I did. GTA San Andreas is out today, which I really wanted to play today and have some time to chat about, but then I had to rake leaves, people. You know, dad life happens.
So very quickly, it is not a remaster, it is a re-release. But they have re-released the upgraded graphics version, not the original version. So
Gotcha.
It does look better.
You know, I really thought you were going to say it's not a remaster, it's a re-release, but they re-released the remaster. That's really what I thought you were going to say.
It's pretty much what they've done, but yes.
Yeah, it's in like a weird place.
It's installed. I am quite happy. I'm going to try and get to Grove Street and blast some fools.
I have seen some gripes on Twitter of some bugs and some issues and some problems, and some gamers not happy about some censorship that they apparently did on some stuff.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know much about it because I haven't played. I also did not play enough of San Andreas to really have much of a. And even if I did, I think I've said I'm pretty amnesic when it comes to playing games that long ago. I'm not
Sure.
gonna be like, oh, I remember how this looked when it first came. I wouldn't even remember if I beat the game. So yeah, no idea. But I am interested to play it, and I'm excited about that. Are you excited about either this or the trilogy is out? San Andreas is the only one on Game Pass, but the trilogy is out on Switch and Xbox. Are you excited about any of these, Seth?
I was going to ask that. I wasn't sure if it was just San Andreas on Game Pass or not. Yeah, I am. I want to play them on Switch. It's a little bit annoying because you have to buy all three.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy them piecemeal, which is a bit annoying. So it's like $60 all three games, and I was a little apprehensive about the soundtrack because I was a little worried that we weren't going to have, like, if I can't listen to I Ran, Flock of Seagulls, and Vice City, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then but yeah, exactly. So like, I'm like, they've got to have that. San Andreas has got to have NWA and Dr. Dre. It's got to have it. Luckily, I would say that like 99% of the songs that you would want to be in there are in there from what I've read. Mm-hmm. So that does give me some hope. I like what they've done with the graphics. Like, they've made it look a little bit nicer. The quality of life stuff, the gameplay improvements to make it kind of more similar to modern GTA games is cool. But yeah, you know, people are complaining about performance issues and stuff like this, and I'm sure all of those are probably worse on Switch, if anything. So I'm a little apprehensive. I have it wishlisted. If I see it go on sale, I'll probably grab it. But if they had let me just buy it piecemeal, I would have just like, you know what, sure, I'll pay 15, 20 bucks for Vice City. Why not? You know, but yeah.
Yeah. I totally understand that. Yeah, so San Andreas is the only one that was released on Game Pass, and then you can get the trilogy if you want. So, which is really nice. I mean, that's exactly pretty much what you're talking about. I'm happy with the one we got. And which one was released on the PlayStation? Sean, do you remember? It was a single released on the PlayStation 2. It wasn't San Andreas. It was one of the other two. I can't remember which one it was.
I think they were all on PS2, if I'm not mistaken.
They were all on PS2. These ones, PS3.
No. But it was just like, we got, like, Xbox got San Andreas, and then PlayStation got one of the other two out of the trilogy. That was separate. I can't remember which one it was though.
We got Vice City Stories was one of the other ones that was released at one point, and that was on the PSP
one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So we're gonna have to kind of skip around. I have parent-teacher conferences here shortly, guys. So we might not hit everything today. Some of these questions. I think most of this stuff is old news about where the games with gold. Those haven't
Yeah,
changed yet.
the golden ticket hasn't changed. We haven't had any further updates on things that we're waiting for, like Stardew Valley, Paparazzi, and the Grail. And what's leaving isn't changing
Yeah.
until after next week.
Yeah, so we're gonna skip all that. I want to hit a couple questions with Seth here. So one of the questions that was for Seth, are there any classic Xbox games that you grew up with that you wish could be on Game Pass? And then also, I think this was Hambone Johnny. And then also he says everyone should play Dicey Dungeons. That just dropped on Game Pass. And it was really hot in our Discord. There was a whole bunch of people playing it. So are there any classic Xbox games that you grew up with that you wish could be put on Game Pass? That's the question.
Jet Set Radio Future. I mean, that's the big one for me. Like that Jet Set Radio Future is in my top 10 of all time. Like I love that game. And for whatever reason, the only real way to play that game on even slightly, the most modern hardware you can play that game on is an Xbox 360. You can't play it on Xbox One. You can't play it on Series S or X. It makes no sense to me. I have to imagine it's some sort of weird licensing thing with Sega. But that drives me nuts. Like I'm telling you, if they announce tomorrow that JSRF is playable on Series X, I will make it my mission to get a Series X. Like it will be a thing. I just want to be able to play that game on modern hardware. Mm-hmm. So that would definitely be my answer to that one. I think they actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have my other favorite kind of weird underrated Xbox game is this one right here. I brought it for a little show and tell. It's called Phantom Dust. And Phantom Dust is a really weird, unique, original Xbox game that I really, really love. Probably like in my top 5 original Xbox games. And I think it actually is on Game Pass. I think they actually wound up putting that game out. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they made it free, like even to own, like even like outside of Game Pass. Yeah. Because what ended up happening with Phantom Dust, it's kind of like a cult classic game. And they had announced that they were going to be doing a remake of it and then canned the remake. But then as kind of a make good, they re-released it kind of like a remaster, like up-resed version of it, and they put it out for free. So I think you actually can play that on modern hardware right now. So that would have been my other answer.
Well, that is awesome. I want to give you time before we wrap up, Seth, to kind of plug all you do with all your podcasts. I don't care if it's not Xbox. It's cool. We got a bunch of Nintendo people, so don't worry about that. So whatever you do, I really appreciate you and all your creativity and content creation. So just take your time and tell us what you do. If just for anybody who don't know.
One of the things I will say is you have one of the nicest voices to listen to on a podcast. And
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's really nice of you. No, and thank you guys for having me on, because it's so nice to be able to come on here and be off the leash and chat some Xbox. I'm the Nintendo guy, so like I never get to talk about other stuff. So it's really cool to be able to chat about some of the stuff. So yeah, my main podcast is All N and Nintendo Podcast. I need to spell it because I had somebody point that out, that I should spell it when I guest on shows. That's All, ALL, and then N, the letter N, like N for Nintendo. And that's a weekly Nintendo variety show that I do with my good friend and wonderful co-host Eric. And we kind of cover, it's a variety show, and we cover different facets of being a Nintendo fan. So every week we highlight an awesome independent game that's on the Switch eShop. We do a weekly top 5. Like it's usually weird random stuff. Like we did top 5 fossils in Nintendo games. Like we try to shake it up, like, and then we have a kind of revolving kind of main segment that could be anything from a guest interview to a review to a retrospective or whatever. So the idea is that it is a variety show, and every week you're getting something different. We go long. Like we go in depth, we go all in, even you might say.
Oh, I like
it. So we routinely go like 2.5, 3 hours. So it's a meaty show, but we make sure to provide timestamps so you can kind of jump around, and it's we have a really good time doing that, and we're really proud of that show. And then as part of that, when we hit our first birthday back in June, I did a spin-off show called Keep Nintendo Weird, which is a bi-weekly show. It goes live every other Wednesday, and it's a weird Nintendo podcast about loving weird Nintendo games. And it's just like me hanging out with a guest talking about a weird Nintendo game that they love for like 30, 45 minutes. And it's just a blast. Like it's the complete antithesis to All In, because All In is like requires a lot of time and work, and Keep Nintendo Weird, it's like boom, you're in, you're out. It's kind of just a sweet, like little candy of a podcast that you can pop into and enjoy. And I just like weird video games is something that I am very passionate about, especially weird Nintendo games. So that is that's my baby. That's a total passion project. So you can find all of that on your podcast feeds. All In, a Nintendo podcast. Keep Nintendo Weird. We are at All In Podcast on Twitter, at KNW Podcast on Twitter. I stream on Twitch, Nintendo games specifically. That's All In Podcast on Twitch as well. So yeah, we're everywhere you get fine podcasts like this one.
Nice. Well, yeah, we really appreciate all you do, and it's awesome to have you on. It was great to have you on Dad Crossing so long when we were doing that one, and we'll have to have you back on there, like I said, and it's great to have you on here as well. So.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Hopefully, I'm gonna try not to kill Game Pass news like I did Dad Crossing.
You can't kill it. It won't happen. Don't worry about that. I also always appreciate you on Twitter are always you give us good news, but you also do it in a positive way. So I always appreciate your demeanor on Twitter.
Yeah, that's really important to me. I really think that delivering stuff positively is super important. And I'm really glad that like we can call the BS like we see it, but we can do it in a positive way too,
Sure.
So
for sure.
Kill the hate.
Totally.
That's right. For sure. Well, Sean, so that I can go see how good or bad my kids are, can you take us out of this awesome episode?
Yeah, very quickly. Thanks for coming on, Seth. It's been great.
Thanks, man.
Having you on. I enjoyed having you on while we did Dead Crossing. You're a very, very nice person to have on. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
The time out. For the information for everybody that's listening, next week we do have Luke Law, Insipid Ghost, and we're hopefully going to do a bit of a deep dive into Halo prior to Halo Infinite coming out. So I'm quite looking forward to that too, because I need to learn me some Halo. As always, the socials are at Game Pass News. That's over at Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. If you're listening to us through a podcast app, please give feedback, comments, likes. It just helps us out. If there's anything you'd like us to add, anything you'd like us to remove, let us know. We're happy to do it. If you want to jump in on the Discord, you can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. For as little as $1 a month, you can jump on. You can chat with us. You can chat with Seth. You can chat everything Nintendo and Xbox until your heart's content. Thank you to everybody who's joined us in the live chat. That's Hambo and Johnny, Ebicel, quickly scrolling through. First Strongest Small. Thank you, everybody, and myself, because I've been chatting in there too. Thank you to everybody that's been joining us in the live chat. And as always, we hope to hear from you all sooner. So until next time, see you later.
See you later, guys.
Bye, guys.